Boom. I was thinking about the other day, when I first showed up at my first SEAL team. When you show up at your first command in the military, it's intimidating. I mean, look, I say this respect if you show up at a supply command or your HR or an admin command, that's probably not going to be as intense, although I'm sure you want to impress them as much as we want to impress the people at our first team. But you show up at a Ranger battalion, a SEAL team, the unit, one of the top places in the military, it's intimidating, and it's not fear, it's just you want to prove yourself. You want to make sure you can do the job and earn the respect and reputation from the team that you're hoping to build. So I show up in my first SEAL team. One of the first things you're going to do when you're there is go to what's called, I was an officer, but go to officer's call. So every morning we have a morning meeting that just kind of talks about the plan of the day, the week ahead, things that are coming. The leadership of the team is sitting there, all the officers, and then all the chiefs are there. And then the Master Chief, what we call the Command Master Chief, that's the top person at the command in the enlisted side, is there as well to watch things and pass the word. And I remember this Master Chief, when I walked into that office that first time, or that meeting the first time, you're just like, this guy is like the archetype of what you think a Master Chief would be. Just compact, strong, not a young man because he's made Master Chief. That's 20 some odd years of being in the community to probably get there. He's got the Magnum PI mustache, just this hard face, and just was every bit just like the embodiment of like power and action and focus. He was one of those guys you wanted to kind of emulate and certainly not piss off, but wanted to get on the good side of. And so I immediately kind of connected to him. In that era in the SEAL teams, this is pre 9/11, the East Coast SEAL teams were known for a mythic level of physical training, of PT, what we call morning exercise. I remember, discipline. You do, grinder PTs where it's push-ups, all kinds of high aerobic body weight exercises, then a run. Tuesdays was like an ocean swim, and I'm talking a 2-mile ocean swim, whether the water's slushy, cold, warm and gross in the summer, whatever it was. The cold was way worse. Obstacle courses, runs. It was just very, very intense physical training. I remember calling a couple of my buddies on the West Coast. I'm like, dude, are your morning workouts worse than being at Bud's, like at the basic course? They're like, no, half the time we go surfing or go on a cool run on the beach, lift, do whatever you want. It's like worse at our East Coast teams than it was in basic training. But there was something magic about that for the team connecting. The swims were the worst. So we did, one day a week, a 2 to 3 mile ocean swim or bay swim. In the winter, you jump in the water out there come January, February. It feels like you're jumping into a slushy. You swim 2 miles. There's no getting out of it. It's just part of the deal. It's definitely the day people are grumbling the most. And when I showed up at that team, I wasn't even there long enough when the first swim came up. All the new guys hadn't got their issue of wetsuits. So we don't even have wetsuits to go in this swim. And I think it's late December at this point, right before the holidays. So the water is unbelievably bone-numbing cold, and it's not a good day. And I remember asking them, like, what do we do? We don't have our gear. They're like, you better find a wetsuit, man. That's on you. There's a lot of wetsuits to the team. You can make it happen. The morning of that first swim, I find a wetsuit top with what's called a beaver tail, just this little flap that you can button with a couple buttons or Velcro. I found like lower running tights that you could wear, not thermal protected, just tight. So I had something, not just pure skin on the water. It was actually a mistake. I had to borrow a pair of fins. Thank God I found a hood to cover my head and keep my head warm. Mask. I don't think I had gloves. Off to the swim. Everybody on the bus as you're heading toward the ocean was like, oh, new guys had to piece it together. They're in their warmest layer of Gucci out custom, wetsuits. You're like, this is going to suck. But the bus would pull up. You basically head out to the beach. You don't know as a new guy how it's going to start. You hit the water. You think it's going to be disciplined. You're going to get in a line like in training and start. People run to the water to get a head start because everything in the SEAL teams is a race, and your kind of reputation and who you are, kind of establishing that comes down to how you can work out until there's something else to do. So I remember running out. I hit the water. The beauty of this is I was not an elite level swimmer, but I was an elite level water polo player. So I was a good swimmer. In the SEAL teams, everybody can swim and go hard. There's always a handful of guys that are actually fast and can really burn, and I was always in that group, and you have fins. But I remember I hit the water, I take off swimming. the swim will spread out pretty quickly from the fastest to the slowest and somewhere in between very, very early in the swim. And I can tell I'm in the lead pack. Turns out, unbeknownst to me, it's the executive officer. That's the second person in chain of command. It's this master chief I'm talking about, a guy that's a good buddy of mine that swam at Air Force, so he's an elite level swimmer. And then these two other guys that were brothers that were probably could have gone to the Olympics for swimming. So it's the, the actual burners are up front, and I'm in that group. You're swimming along, and I remember we get to the finish line, so to the end of the swim, about 2 miles down, but they had designated and knew exactly where that swim ends. And I remember seeing it on the distance as we're heading towards it, and we're getting close. I'm in that pack, and the group just swims almost past that finish line, takes a 90-degree turn, swims into the beach, and then comes up on the ocean to kind of wait for the rest of the team to come in. I feel great because I'm up there with some of the senior leadership of the team, some of the fast guys. It's not a bad thing as a brand new guy to kind of have some FaceTime with them and also have kind of matched their level of intensity. I remember the XO was like, nice swim. That master chief said to me, he's like, Ensign, and I was like, Denver. He's like, Denver, right on. I won't forget it. Good stuff being up here. So I couldn't be in a better mood. A couple other people come in to swim, and I noticed they swim right to that edge, come straight in. All of a sudden, the pack of my buddies, guys that were new guys of the team, start swimming in, and they start kind of curving in. They kind of diagonal in to where the finish line is. I see the XO's face shift because he's looking at the master chief, who then walks down about 15 yards away from us and is standing there with his arms crossed, waiting for these new guys to come in. I see them come in, and then I'm close enough to hear, he's like, go ahead and line up on the, the down beach side of where I'm standing. So all these new guys kind of come in, and they're lining up. There's probably 8 new guys that are now all with them. Whole rest of the team comes in, takes a left turn. Comes in past the line, takes a left turn. He brings everybody in. He's got all the new guys in front of him. Thank the Lord. I mean, I felt a little bad because I was the only new guy that was up front, but I'm kind of standing with the team. They're all circling around, and I never forget it. This master chief turns to them and said, hey, we explained that the swim starts at this location and ends at this location. What in your minds is making you think you would cut that distance short to come into the finish line? Let me tell you something, boys, and I'll never forget this line. He turns to them and says, you do it right or you do it twice. Everybody get on the bus, turns to the bus driver. It's a 30-minute drive back to where our command is. He's like, don't worry, we'll still be here by the time you get back. Meet us right here. He's like, follow me, boys. He takes off on a run. He made them do the swim over. Do it right or do it twice. Ever onward.